What's going on, everybody? Welcome to your weekly astrology forecast for the week of May 17th through the 23rd of 2021. Brian here, Fixed Air Moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. As always, I am so grateful that you chose to join me for this astrological report, and I hope you're all doing amazing out there. We definitely have a lot going on this week in the astrology. If you haven't become a member, please do consider. I do a lot for the daily horoscopes that, I'll go over the charts with you here, but I go into them much more deeply. And, even throughout the week, certain insights will come up that this show doesn't catch, and I'll throw them in those horoscopes. So if you're interested, it's $5 a month. I'd love to have you there. It's a great community. We also do a weekly sun and rising horoscope as well. You could throw your moon in there. So if you haven't considered it, if not, as always, grateful that you are here. So what do we got this week? Well, we're going to have that sun move into Gemini. That's a big deal. Of course, it's going to come into that 0 degree spot and square a 0 degree Jupiter in Pisces that just came in. And it's also going to square the fixed star Regulus. So there is this T-square between Regulus, Jupiter, the sun, our heart. Definitely an interesting time. I think, we do have to look for courage, and I think we have to understand our courage too. And we can't get too egocentric with a sun square Jupiter, but at the same time, we have to definitely look at where we can expand when it comes to our environment and what's on the horizon for us. And I think that it's very spiritual too right now. And, we can contemplate all sorts of areas of our life, but what's really important and what's up with our environment as we come into Gemini, what's close? It's just close energy. It's not so much about what's going on out in the world, which there's plenty of stuff going on out in the world, which is an interesting thing to speak of as we're having Mars come off of the USA's sun at 13 degree Cancer. We have Saturn, quincunxing that 13 degree USA sun. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the world. And I talked last week about Neptune and Jupiter last time they were in Pisces being 1855, 1856. This is interesting times we're going through right now, and we're seeing a lot of history repeat itself. So we need to look for the truth. The truth will literally set you free right now with a North Node in Gemini, Venus on that North Node, Venus trine Saturn this week. And by the end of the week, we're going to see Saturn go retrograde. So Saturn's going very slow. Mercury's going to be in shadow this week. Mercury's going very slow in its home sign of Gemini. And it's going to square off with Neptune this week, too. And it's not just going to square Neptune while it's ripping. Mercury is going to be really slow. It's a Friday through Sunday of Mercury square Neptune. This is where, there's an attack for your mind right now. And you're going to have to really trust your spiritual truth and really look for those facts in your environment that are going to make your life better. Or I would say coming into Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you could feel lost. There's a lot of anxiety in the air, and a lot of, this is not a great time for, to not be strong within yourself, because mental health would be a big issue with Mercury square Neptune as well. So, if you're not feeling right mentally, please, reach out to a professional that can help you. And I don't mean like an astrologer. I mean like a professional, so definitely something to keep in mind. Especially with so much Gemini in the chart right now. Our minds are going a million miles an hour. And with the sun, too, the way it's transiting, it's really hitting 2 degrees per day as it's shifting into the next degree midday every day. So we feel like we're getting double the energy every day, which is so fitting for Gemini season, because it's the twins, right? And there's that much energy. So we're getting double the energy every day. It can feel like time is going extremely fast. We came out of this Taurus season where maybe it did feel a little slow, and this week it's a different shift. It's a different vibe. And the more you can focus on your truth and what's right within you, and not follow the leader. There's a lot of aspects right now in life where we just can't follow what's being told. You have to do the research. You have to look into it for yourself. And I know that's hard to do, because guess what? Fact checkers are out there, and they're telling you what is fact and what isn't fact. Is that true? Or are they just telling you? Is that following the leader? If you just, a fact checker said it wasn't real. Who's fact checking these things? Don't let roadblocks right now stop you. I think Saturn quincunx the USA Sun, especially. There's so many weird blocks trying to keep people from their own projection of reality. And if we look at it, if you're an American citizen, we would look at the sun in Cancer as the heart, and it's about finding your own way, Cancer, your own projection, your own security. And right now, it's very weird to go into that, and it's very weird to go in and find your own truth. So, very interesting week. We're going to see a lot of great things with Venus, though, this week. Venus is going to sextile over to Chiron, and it's going to trine Saturn after crossing the North Node. So, Venus here going over this area where it retrograded last year in Gemini, it's really cleaning up a lot of mess. And I think it's having us, really look at what is that common twin-like energy that makes us feel good in this life, and how do we, make changes. This is a mutable sign, a lot of mutable energy. If you need something better in life, this is when you can switch up and make it happen. And with relationships too, you don't have to be in relationships that are boring or that you don't have a common interest or if beliefs aren't right. So, Venus trine Saturn is like, hey, if you want good things and you want the best right now, you gotta boss up in your life and make it happen. And I think that there's a lot of healing in that too, of when you make decisions that are going to make you feel good with Venus sextile Chiron in Aries, that's going to empower you. That's going to make you, feel confident in your mind, confident in your decisions to do what brings you some sense of beauty or harmony or balance. In a world where it's so divided and it's so hard to find balance outside of self right now, the best thing that you could do is look for what's common, look for twin-like energy. If it's not within you and you're trying to connect to energy that isn't bringing that common twin-like energy, it's not going to feel good. Not to say that we can't have a lot of compassion. Jupiter in Pisces, very compassionate, and it's all about being in the flow too, but we can't just hope and believe that everything's going to flow into this perfect abundant river. We have the South Node in Sagittarius, and that Jupiter is still the dispositor of that South Node. We can hope all we want, but if we don't bring those dreams and understand them and bring those visions in, and that understanding and that compassion and use it right now. So Gemini is like the hand, right? It wants to do, it's stimulating, it's going to figure it out. We can't just hope and sit back and be like, oh yeah, everything's going to be fine in my life. This is where we need to, not just overly contemplate things, but make big decisions. And it's difficult with a Mercury in shadow, slowing down, getting ready to go retrograde at the end of the month on the 29th, squaring off with Neptune, very fogged out energy. So people are going to be not really sure of what they're doing. There's probably going to be a lot of spells coming from the media. Neptune rules the media. There's going to be a lot of deterrence from, your truth. And this is where you got to really come in and tap into your spiritual gifts. You got to tap into your intuition and get in that flow of the universe. And I think Jupiter's really helping with that. And the square to the sun's helping with that too, because it's going to make you look at your beliefs and your spirituality and your truth very, deeply. And you got to trust your heart this week, because with everything that's going on in the world, there's so much going on. There really is. It's heavy. It's getting heavier by the day. And what's going to come next? And is it going to just deter you from your evolution and your spiritual awareness of what you can do and what you can accomplish? It's going to try. And I think the unexpected can be expected. We have Uranus now approaching a really stationary Saturn. Saturn's moving, not even minutes, seconds of geometry this week until it goes retrograde on Sunday. We have Uranus going full speed, full steam ahead here for the square. So Uranus now is heading towards the square to Saturn instead of Saturn heading towards the square to Uranus. It is a shaken up world out there. And it is very interesting that last time we had Uranus in Taurus, it was coming into World War II. It was the Holocaust. It was Hitler putting a star on Jewish people to make sure that you knew they were Jewish. And you look at the world now with masks and who can wear one and who can't. Don't listen to what people tell you can and can't do. Validate yourself from your heart. It's so funny that, President Joe Biden comes out and says you can't, if you get vaccinated, you can wear a mask, or you don't have to wear a mask anymore. It's like, I will wear one if I need to get something from someplace. I'm not just going to walk around because you told me to. Sorry. And it's funny too, because people that are vaccinated are, that whole, paradigm, because there's two paradigms right now in our reality. They don't even want to take their masks off. They want to keep those on. And then the people that are in their truth and, want to be free, they don't care either way. They're just like, don't tell me what to do. Very interesting times we live in. But the point is they want to put a star on people who are following the rules, who are doing what they're told by Dada. Is that how you want to live your life? So that's scary stuff. And, that's kind of what we're coming into. And I mentioned the Civil War stuff with Neptune and Jupiter and Pisces. Very interesting times right now. But at the same time, there's this beautiful shift of consciousness. And I think so many people are waking up big time to that. And that's where, the truth will set you free. And in a lot of ways, this is a week where really understanding and not losing your truth and standing in your spirituality. And if it isn't divine, it's just an illusion. And it's an interesting week for that kind of vibe. So I will pull up the charts. We will get into the rest of this show. It's interesting times out there. And I think there's definitely there's always a silver lining, and we can use this energy and make beautiful things happen in our personal life. And I think that, the visions that we can bring into life and the courage that we can muster up is next level right now, if you're in your light. And, we look at these nodes too. North Node on Aldebaran, Archangel Michael. We're cutting through to the truth right now with that Archangel Michael sword, and the South Node on Antares. It's overblown beliefs, overblown stories that, are kind of dark. Antares is a powerful energy. It's not like, I wouldn't say it's as nasty as like Algol, but it's a little reptilian, I'll be honest. So this is light and dark energy right now, and it's like the light is of the truth. The light is of the spiritual truth. It's looking for different ways right now. It's not just standing in some story or some belief that's being told. Let's look at the chart. Got Monday here. We're going to see the sun at 27 degrees of Taurus, coming off Algol. Last weekend was not a good weekend for drinking. There's, drugs, escaping, especially with Jupiter and Neptune and Pisces. Not ideal, and coming off that energy, and it was, of course, trine Pluto. So interesting, coming off of that energy. But 27 degrees for the sun is a very action-oriented degree. So, like, how are we coming off of, maybe seeing what all the good things were in life, some of this, excess with Algol? It's almost like hoarding energy, and taking action for, like, what we do need to hold on to and what we don't, coming off the trine to Pluto. And I think that it's action-oriented for, like, you need to ground in the best physical world that you possibly can for yourself right now. And with Venus on the North Node and Aldebaran, this is where, like, you're contemplating and looking for all the right stimulations in life and that common energy and the twin-like energy that's going to take you more towards the light, more towards the true vibe. And what are you cutting through? If it's not of the truth, it's not going to make you feel good. And I think that that's what this week's all about, is like people are going to see truth in so many different ways. It's almost like they're going to try so hard to keep, pushing something that's not of the truth. And even Black Moon Lilith at 9 degrees, like, what a stellium right there. And I mean, that's only really one planet, and then the nodes and Lilith, so it's not really a stellium, if you will, but it's an assembly of energy, and it's like, really, people are going to rebel towards the truth, towards the light. They're not going to just sit in these stories anymore, because they're not going to feel good. And, like, it's going to feel really good when you're connecting to other people, too, that are bringing that common light in. And I think that this is where we act for the best connections in life. We act for the real twin-like energy in life. And it's so interesting because we are in such a split collective. And you know what? Jupiter is bringing a ton of compassion. And so is Neptune in Pisces too. And I think that that's one of the most beautiful parts of this is like, if you're awake spiritually and not woke, awake spiritually, and you're in your truth, it's not hard for you to have compassion for people, for the other side. It's the side that, you know, just thinks the other side are devils and just thinks the other side is nasty, that, you know, they don't have the compassion because they don't have their spiritual truth. And that's some cold hard truth, and some people might not want to hear it. But you know what? This channel is more for people that are awake. And, you know, if you watch this show, then you're in your truth likely, and you have compassion for other people, and you're not just, you know, telling other people they're bad. You know, you just do your own thing. You look at your environment, and that's where we're at right now. Coming into Gemini season, it's about your environment and how you can make it great. And you know what? The world is going to try and suck you in, especially with South Node and Antares. And they're going to try and suck you into these crazy visions of what they think everybody should be doing, or what the, you know, proper philosophy of life is, or what their vision of where the universe needs to go. And, you know, that's not going to do it. And the sun's starting to square that Jupiter. So like beliefs are going to get blown up, and people are going to be like trying to almost, it's like kind of God complex energy as well. But I think it's giving us a really good look at how we can, you know, take our spiritual truth and take the wisdom that we've acquired and get in the flow within our heart so that we can expand on those areas. And we're going to see Mars and Sirius get together. And they just crossed the 13-degree sun of the USA this weekend. So this weekend was very interesting for what the USA was going to do. And it was quincunx to Saturn. So it's like we got to get serious, and we can't just follow the leader. Aquarius energy can just want to get in line. It's like a very low vibration of Aquarius. It's just get in line and follow the leader. And, you know, Saturn at 13 degrees, like it doesn't really want you to follow the leader. It kind of wants you to boss up and do something different and like create new possibilities and innovate. And that's the way out, is to like, in this weird sort of angle, is to like find the courage to get out and like, you know, really brighten. You know, Sirius is the brightest star, right? It's like, how can you brighten up from within yourself, Cancer, within your own projection and within your own security and your own feelings, and not let, you know, the follow the leader stuff get you just in some weird place. And we're gonna see that moon come into Leo too, so it's definitely, you know, a time to shine. Also, it's nice to see Jupiter here at +7. That's so cool. We've had, you know, Jupiter at maybe a +2, maybe a +3, but we get this really high scoring Jupiter. So there's gifts, and there's spiritual gifts right now, and so many people are getting them. And if you're tapped into that flow and you're kind of surrendering to where the universe is guiding you right now, it's a great time. And I think that there's so much like illumination that can be in that, even with the moon quincunx that Jupiter at 0 degrees as it comes into Leo. Like there's so much abundance out there, and I think that having the courage to start off this week to be in that is great, because it brings that fire. And with the sun at 27 degrees too, there is a fire today to like go for the truth, to go for the stimulation that's going to expand. And you know what? It's like you have to expand your environment right now. You can't just like look for somebody else to do it for you, or to, you know, don't be told to do things right now. Like, do things for yourself if you know it's of your truth and you know it's better. So come into Tuesday, Mars Day, we're going to see that sun come to 28 degrees. This is a very of the heart degree of the sun too, and it's like an emotional, like getting serious for what your heart wants too. So it's like, what do you want in this physical world? You know, you got to have the courage right now to make that happen. And you're going to see the moon trine over to Chiron. Like that's where the key is in your courage right now. And for you to like grab onto that line and hold on to that key and you know what, use it to unlock your gifts in this universe is super important. And you know, North Node and Venus finally crossing the North Node, and also having Black Moon Lilith on the North Node, like it's like people are going to make big decisions to do what's right for themselves and like really be in their truth. And I just feel like of anything, this is like one of those weeks where people or the governments or the people in charge or whoever's calling the shots and like telling these people what to say, they're going to try and trick people. Like there's trickster energy, and especially with a Mercury in shadow in Gemini. Gemini's got trickster energy too. So it's like, where are the tricks at, and how are we seeing through those lies and seeing through those tricks? And it's like the only way to do it is to really rebel for your truth and to hold that truth, hold that line, hold that, Archangel Michael energy that you can cut through any bullshit that the dark is going to throw at you. So, and then also with Venus in relationships, like this is where, I think you're really seeing like who was kind of meant to be. I don't know if anybody, it's hard to say, like over the last 8 years, even 9 years with the Venus retrograde in 2017 in Gemini, which was an eclipse Venus. We didn't have that last year. Like what relationships were like really the ones? And like, were any of those relationships that we were in previous, were they the one? So now I think we're really finding out who's common, who's on the vibe, and that's great. For now and like for really looking, like this is where maybe twin flames do come out, and I'm not really one to push twin flame energy. I think that it's a thing, but I don't think it's something you want to go look for. But I think you start to see like who really is like same team, who really is like that common energy out there that wants to connect with you. And there's a lot of stimulation and good vibes. Venus is pretty uncomfortable with the North Node. Venus and the Moon like the South Node more. So it's almost like it's uncomfortable to go towards the best in life right now and to feel good, but you have to make changes in your environment to do that. And it changes within your mind too, of like a completely different understanding. And like that's where the healing ultimately is with Venus sextile Chiron. Like your courage to make changes in your environment and like change your mind for something better is the healing ticket. And it's within your own ego too, with Chiron in Aries. And like I think there's a lot of ego healing going on, and like people are stepping into their more spiritual ego and not so much they're just human egoic, like gotta reach the top, gotta have this, gotta have that. Like I think this is more spiritual truth based and really coming into that spiritual warrior ego that's of this light energy, because there's so much light energy right now. It's really beautiful actually to think about where we are, and how like a lot of these transits right now are really big for just our consciousness evolution and our a lot of individual journeys here. So I want to say that we're gonna have that moon opposed Saturn, so there's definitely some like serious and energy, and I think that we can feel blocked if we're not in a courageous place within ourselves. Like we have to remember that really to innovate in life, you have to break away and figure things out, and then have the courage to bring that back to the collective and to like do things differently. Like it takes courage to do things differently. It takes courage to be in your truth. And it also takes courage to, come back and tell people that, you found a better way and not just follow the leader. So this would be another day where it's like, what is the governments with Saturn? What is the structures in life trying to tell you that are trying to take, your heart even, or even spell your mind, with Mercury starting to really approach that square to Neptune. So this is where, even Tuesday, Wednesday, you might start feeling there's confusing energy this week. But I think there's, also this energy where it's like, we have to surrender a little bit to the divine, but we also have to, balance that out with like making things happen in like our reality and like weaving the two together. So this is where I think people are really weaving their downloads and their intuition into their reality so that they can see more truth and use that for the best benefit that they can. So we'll go to Wednesday. So Wednesday here, again, it's 11:42, so you'll notice like the time keeps going up because I keep moving it so that we get the next degree of the sun in these. So really, like, and this is on the West Coast and it's midday. On the East Coast, that would be 2:42. So there's this shift of we're getting 2 sun degrees per day, which is almost 2 completely different vibes every day. So that's also this like twin like Gemini energy. There's 2 vibes every day, and we have to like navigate them. So you could wake up feeling one way in the morning, and then by afternoon be like, whoa, what just happened? Why is my whole perspective shift? Why does my heart feel this way? Or why is this getting illuminated now? And it is the final day of Taurus season on Wednesday, 29 degrees. So I think we're coming to a culmination here of really figuring out and healing, our Taurus wounds. Maybe it's like our values of ourself. Like we've come to this place where it's like, all right, I have my worth. I have my value. I've spent this time here in Taurus and done that work. And I brought in all these spiritual gifts to ground in my reality. This is it. So it's like a feeling within yourself that, you now have all that confidence and all that self-worth to be that spiritual warrior that you are, so that, you can really have that oomph right now to go into Gemini season. Because Gemini season, we got eclipses coming up here. Like we need that strength, we need that courage, and we need that self-worth and value right now big time. Like confidence is so big. So like, how are you feeling that confidence? And that moon's going to make the first quarter square to that sun in the fixed signs at 29 degree Leo, 29 degree Taurus, right before it comes in to Virgo on Regulus and opposes Jupiter on Wednesday. So it's definitely an emotional day, and it's emotional. Like there's a lot of like having to find your courage, a lot about finding your passion, and there's a lot about like really finding your wisdom and purification in your heart. When it comes on Regulus, like this is you like having that courage and that heart of the lion within you, but also like being, purifying through your connection with the universe, with God, with source, and using that, as this loop of like spiritual warrior, spiritual courage, spiritual, regalness even, and like understanding and compassion. So it's big, and we get this big T square to the sun in Taurus as well. And then of course that sun's going to come in tomorrow and square Jupiter. So, I mean, this is where like whole, beliefs can shift, and, or people can just be like way overly righteous. Pretty wild energy for that first quarter square. But I think some people are just going to be in their truth and know it, and they're not going to be, spelled and feeling like they don't have it figured out. And then Venus is trine over to Saturn. I mean, Wednesday's quite the day. Like there's a lot coming full circle here, and you're either like finding your clarity, or you're lost, feeling like a lost puppy that just has to follow the leader. And that's, not really it, because Venus trine Saturn here is like, yo, you got to connect to the right energy, and it's at that 13th degree, which is very quantum. Like you got to look at all the possibilities that you can manifest in your environment and all the connections that are right, and stop connecting to just anything. Like if you want nice connections, if you want nice things in life, if you want to feel good about yourself, stop just connecting to anything. Like look at the bigger picture. And, you have to like get serious about that. And that's where it's at too. And again, Lilith on the North Node, like, and Lilith sextile Chiron. There's just like energy and breaking away for your truth, and not like holding, not holding back. Like you're not dark for being in your truth right now. And that's what's kind of crazy too, is like people that are woke, not awake, are going to think that, people that are awake or in their truth, or that they're that they're the demons, that they're the, and really they're not. Really, that energy is the light. That's the Pleiades. That's Archangel Michael energy all over right there. Like it just is. And that's our way out, is by like figuring out our worth and our value, and being able to, understand it mentally so that we can alchemize it. Because remember, Mercury rules alchemy too, and astrology. Like we have to be able to disconnect from emotion so that we can like really figure things out and see both sides. And I think that that's a big part of this Wednesday too, is like having the courage to alchemize reality, and to get serious about what it is your future looks like and the connections and what's going to make you feel good in your environment and your confidence. So it's a very big day to heal any wounds of not feeling like you're worth it, and to be confident that, you know, you are on the right path, especially if you're trusting in your divinity. Thursday is Jupiter Day, and it's so interesting that it's a week after Jupiter comes into Pisces, and we get the exact Sun Jupiter square, and Jupiter ingresses into Gemini. So, you know, Thursday's a big shift, and it happens at 12:39 Pacific, or 3:39 on the East Coast if you're in the United States, and, you know, wherever you're at in the world, it's somewhere around, you know, the 20th or the 21st. But again, kind of that righteous energy, and then Regulus is making that T square. It's so important to hold the line for your heart's truth. And I think, you know, you have to be able to surrender. You have to be able to be in the flow. You can't just have it all be ego. You can't just have it all be, you know, about you. It has to be about something bigger too. And there's this purification within our heart, and that heart's at 0 Gemini. So this is a very, you know, powerful and intense degree of Gemini. And it's like, gosh, if you want to be in your heart, you have to understand your own alchemy. You have to understand your environment, and you have to understand that it can't be separate from the divine, and it can't be separate from your courage. It has to be all of that both, and like purifying through that. And definitely a big pressure day. And we're going to see the moon at 12 degrees start to square the nodes, and also square Venus. So it's a heavy feeling day on Thursday. I think that something comes out where you're just like forced to, you know, surrender to a divine truth or not, and it's going to take courage to do that. And you know, it also takes a purification, and like, you know, maybe not being overly picky, but being willing to change for something better. So if something isn't good, you might feel like, oh, you know what, I can see all the dust on that in my life right now, and I'm going to clean that up so I can purify, come into my heart, come into my connection, come into my divinity. And it's weird too with the quincunx to Chiron that day, like very, very interesting sort of energy. Like you have to have that courage to unlock these doors, but it can't just be like that old ego. It's almost like we're purifying into a more connected ego, which I mean, you know, I would say most of us that are actually kind of like, I don't know, actually the best word, but like spiritually awake, like we're in that place right now where we see truth and, you know, not judging people. But like this is, you know, more of that where you have to, you know, it can't just be like one way or the highway. I think the healing is to know that the purification has to be for, you know, that everything is happening right now, and you have to be just solid in your truth, and that's where the greatness can open up. But you don't have to put other people down also for not living that same way. Like, I know I get a little intense on these, but I'm not trying to put anybody down. I see both sides very clearly, and, you know, I just know which side I vibrate on. I just know which side is my vibe. I'm not going to go out and tell anybody they're wrong, but I'm also going to put my truth out there. That's my job. That's what I do. So, interesting. Very interesting ingress coming into 0 Gemini with the square to Jupiter. Like, this is where, you know, I think beliefs can change. There's a lot of mutable energy in the chart. Like, things can definitely change. And with Mercury 1 degree away from the square to Neptune, it's coming into this weekend where Mercury's going very slow. It's going to start slowing down even more and more as it gets ready, and Saturn's basically stopped. So there's this, it's almost like we got to stop and look at like where the purification is, where the courage is, and you know, not get spelled mentally. Got to come into our truth and keep the alchemy doors open. Got to look at both sides. And Friday's wild too, with that Mercury is going to really start pressing, and it's not going to make the exact square until Saturday, because Mercury's just really hitting the brakes now. 37, 1 day over. It's going to keep dropping. And we're going to see the moon finish up in Virgo, but it's going to oppose that Neptune, and it's also going to square early in the morning that Mercury as well. So there's this T square to Mercury, like the purification through your spirituality, through how you can channel the truth right now, but then making common sense of it, making objective sense of it, and like looking for that truth, and not getting spelled is so important, and it's forcing out like major contemplation about what's real and what's not real. What's real, reality based, and what's in the etherical right now. And it's like, got to merge the two. You got to find some commonality. Like they're both within us. It was just very Chiron, and Chiron's been very, present too in this horoscope and what's going on right now too. And Chiron sits in between the known world of Saturn and in between Uranus, the outer realms that we can't see with our eye. And that's why it's humanity based so much, is because we know there's more. We can't see it. We know there's this etherical energy, but we also have this reality that we'll never truly fully understand either. So we're just like, that's our wounds, right? Trying to figure out both sides. And I think that there's a lot of contemplation, and we're stuck in the middle right here. And it is at this 22 degree with Mercury too. So there's lots of 22s, lots of quantum energy. Like there's a quantum leap taking place. And you have to have this sort of clarity and objectivity, and not just be in this emotional, belief system of what is pure and what isn't pure, and judging both sides, but just have your truth. Be locked in that. The sun at 1 degrees of Gemini is about the heart. So like, trust your heart. Your heart's going to guide you and illuminate the path to your truth, to your alchemy, to what makes the most sense. So, it's not really far outside of you. That's the thing, is like your truth is right there for you to grab. And it's, I think, coming into this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like people can really just like, look elsewhere when, really it's right there. And, the opposite side of this T square is, of course, Sagittarius. And, there's a lot of pressure there on like, what do you believe right now? Like, that's a big question. And it's making all the difference in the world, because you either have your belief of the divine or your belief of what the science is telling you, and the two just don't coexist very well together right now, which is a shame, because they should, but science really doesn't, factor in alchemy anymore, and science was a derivative of alchemy. So it's interesting how that works. Saturday, we are going to get the exact Mercury Neptune square. I just think that square is such a big deal, and we look at Mercury really slowing down, 333. And on a very emotional day too, and it's emotional because our mind's going through this like major, either spiritual upgrade or spelled just into a lot of followers. So there's a battle for our mind right now. The media is trying to control our mind, and we look at Uranus and semi-square to that energy, and it's been like that since 2018. This is the media trying to spell the people, and shout out to the Leo King for saying that for years. And now it's like it is that control for the mind, and it's the control for the truth. And you can see the media trying to tell everybody what's true, what's not true. Don't look for yourself. Just believe us. Just believe us. Just believe us. We'll do all the research for you. We'll do everything for you. You don't have to do anything. You have to do something, and you have to look for the harmony and the beauty too. And that moon's going to make the trine over to the sun in the morning, because we're at 240 now. So we get that shift to 2 degrees at 240. So we start off the day with moon, sun in trine. Like, this is definitely like the beauty and the balance is in your realization of your heart's truth. And that's how you can come to terms with things. And, there's going to be so much weighing out too with the moon in Libra and with Mercury square Neptune. Like, a lot of confusion. Like, oh, do I need to be pushed in this direction? Blah, blah, blah. Like, no, you got to push yourself in the direction you want to go into. And it's also going to make a trine over to Saturn. So we get sort of this grand trine energy even to the North Node and to Venus a little bit between the moon, like disconnecting a little bit, honestly, from emotion with this air trine, and like coming into your understanding and your objectivity of what is justified, what is fair in this world, and figuring it out for yourself, and not being told what's fair, being told what's righteous, but really like looking at actual facts in your world is everything. And that's going to, that's the portal to the greatness. That's the portal to, figuring out where you're going to go long term, to figuring out this week for you, and not to be, in some crazy spelled place, like mentally. So a lot of fog. It gets really foggy this weekend, but it's like you can disconnect from that fog if you're not too, I would say, overly emotional about whatever's being told, but you're looking for ways to make your environment better and how you can switch things up for what's best for yourself and the best connections that you can have in life right now. Sunday, we get Saturn retrograde at 2:18 a.m. So, boom, Saturn is retrograde. Stopped. So Saturn retrograde, I mean, definitely it's like summer school, like just started. And, here we are, like, getting ready to finish up spring and come into summer. It's going to give us a really good look at what we're connecting to in life, and make sure that we made the right connections in life right now, and make sure that, we're trying to attract the frequency that's best for us. So we're going to see very clearly, what's up with our future. Are we putting our time and energy into the right legacy? Are we putting our time and energy into the right people? Like, Saturn's going to show that. And I think it's also going to show a lot of mess ups. Like, it's going to show like where the government or the people in charge tried to innovate and get one over on the people that wasn't true, that wasn't of the divine. So I think that it's cool. I think we're in this time now where we're coming into eclipses, we're coming into all this Gemini, like a lot of truth. Like, truth will set you free. Truth is everything. And it's going to start coming out. And I think that that's the thing too, is people aren't going to want to, they're not going to want to believe the truth. They're going to be too spelled. Like, truth is probably going to come out this week. Big time, heavy truth about something that's happened over the last year. And people are going to be like, no, that wasn't what they said the first time. Like, and then now they're actually telling you, and you're like, no. It's like, do you really want to replay all that shit again? Like, this is where you like get serious and like make sure that the life you're connecting to is of the truth. And we're going to have that sun come to 3 degrees. So honestly, Sunday's like, and Mercury comes off that square to Neptune. It's pretty, and it's a pretty abundant day if you're in the truth, and if you're looking for what's stimulating and you're paying attention to your environment. Like, big gifts can come in, big time gifts. And we're gonna see the moon come into Scorpio and trine over to Jupiter. Like, if you can see through the bullshit and you're tapped in and you're looking for deeper meanings right now in an introspective way, there's major gifts that I think do show up on Sunday. And it's almost like, you graduated school and you don't have to go to summer school because you did your job. And then that moon's also going to square over to Pluto. So it's like, before all that, like, it's like, did you fucking make the best decision for the most balanced out reality that you could have for yourself? And it's trine Mercury. And like, did you trust your guides? Did you trust your intuition that's trying to make the most sense? It's quincunx, the media, Neptune, or you just get spelled. You just fall for the trap again. I hope not. So that's kind of what I got for this week. It's an amazing week. There's a lot going on. There's just a lot of, I feel like there's a lot of deception. There's a lot of trickery. There has been a lot of trickery, but this is where we get through it. We see through it. We're cutting through it. Like, Archangel Michael's coming through and cutting through the bullshit with all this North Node on Aldebaran, with all these planets that have crossed Aldebaran, with the sun approaching. Like, we got to have the courage to be in our truth 100%, live our life in that, and, hold that line. And it doesn't mean that we're going out and putting people down. It doesn't mean that, We're not paying attention to what the world's doing, but don't let it trick you. Don't let it get to you. Like, focus on what's actually real in your life. That's where everything's important. That's where the real truth lies. And I know that might trigger people. I always have to say something that triggers people in these. And it's like everybody wants to get so focused on the world, and like, yeah, there's stuff going on, and you know what? They might pull some really weird shit. You gonna let that take your happiness and your sovereignty away, or are you gonna figure out how to get around it and, alchemize your own reality? We are in that kind of quantum time right now, where just because the news or say that this has to be a certain way, it doesn't. That's all smoke and mirrors. Smoke and mirrors. So don't let that shit smoke and mirror you out of a beautiful life, out of a life that you can alchemize and create for yourself. And that's all I got today. And I love you all so much. And I hope that you enjoyed this. And I hope it gave you some sort of confidence. And I hope that it helps you throughout the week. I will timestamp these days so you can come back if you want to check out what I said again. And, please do drop a like on the channel. It does help a lot if you liked this video. And I appreciate you all so much for listening to me. And I'm sending you all my love, all my best. Stay strong. Stay in your heart. And I think this is a big week too, where, use your mind. Don't let it just get manipulated. Use it to connect with what is of your truth. I love you all so much. Peace.